All right, whether it's the Pratte Pack Gym or actually here on location, you guessed it, cheers from the BHDS Trick-or-Treat Night. A lot of folks enjoying some chili dogs after a wonderful evening. You got to realize one thing. Thanksgiving around the bend, everybody comes home, and when they come home to this place called Beaver County, they come back to the Brighton Hot Dog Shop. That's the kind of track record they have. And I've got him back too, Greg Diolis Law, and of course, Vantage Management Group. And we begin talking about what I believe was a great ball game last night. And we're talking about the Chicago Cubs raising that white flag with a blue W over Wrigley Field, signifying a Chicago Cubs win for the first time since 1945 when they won Game 6 against Detroit. Aroldis Chapman, the young man from Cuba, his first 8-out save career of his game. 41,711 fans erupted. 101-mile-an-hour fastball that got by Jose Ramirez. Foul tipped into the catcher's mitt. It was all over.
Interesting that we're talking about Aroldis Chapman and all that he did last night, and it was a fantastic performance by him. But the biggest at-bat and out of the night was by Edwards, the little skinny kid right before that, where he's got a runner at second base, nobody out, and he gets our boy Carlos Santana to hit a weak fly ball to left field. Santana's got to pull that ball, get that runner to third base, and now you got all kinds of action that can happen. You get a run in. That was a huge at-bat, and maybe a historic at-bat as far as the Chicago Cubs are concerned, because now the momentum has shifted. And we're talking about baseball not being a momentum sport, but you got a lot of guys in Cleveland doubting themselves on the way back to Chicago now.
You know, Greg,
I'm sorry, back to Cleveland.
Here's the thing, Greg, that people need to also understand. And I know it's hard to believe because they still have to win them both, but Chicago really was the favorite for a reason. They won all those games for a reason. They've got a lineup that's amazing. They've got Chapman. They've got Jake Arrieta, who's going in the next game tomorrow night. You don't really want to give them any room to breathe. So if Terry Francona is lucky and smart, and I know he's smart, he'll jump on them as quickly as he can and get to Miller as quickly as he can and shut the door down. Josh Tomlin will get the start in Game 6. But you cannot afford to give them any breathing room to the Cubs because they will come back and beat you.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. They seem to have given, they let up off their neck right now, and that's going to be a little bit of a trouble spot. You know, a couple other things that happened in that game that were really interesting. John Lester not being able to throw the ball to first base and just giving up stolen bases, but then they get the situation where the chocolate kid, Lindor, is on first base and should have been able to steal second base easily. He gets thrown out by Ross at second base, which was a big part of that ball game. How does he get thrown out? I could have stolen a base off of Lester the way he has.
Don't get carried away.
Well, that's true. Don't get carried away.
Don't make me laugh.
Also, too, it just seems to me that the Cleveland team that Terry Francona has brought to the World Series, they're trying to stay underneath the radar. They just want to go out there and play baseball and quietly get it done. But now, I think they started to not live up to the hype, but they started to make the world believe that they were the biggest attack dog in the room, okay? And now all of a sudden, Chicago's kind of got their dander up a little bit, and they're starting to counterpunch. This thing could get really interesting in the next two games.
It's turning into a really good World Series, and we thought maybe it could be. The other thought was, if you looked at every pitching matchup going into this World Series, you said that the Cubs would be the winners of every one of those pitching matchups, maybe except for Corey Kluber. But now Kluber's going to have to go in Game 7 on short rest, which makes it even a little bit more doubtful. And if Chicago wins Game 6, all of a sudden all the doubts are creeping into the Indians' mindset.
Up until we saw that win last night, Arrieta's been the only pitcher who's lived up to the hype. We all know who he was for so long. I don't know if he's still that killer instinct type of pitcher. Do you think he can do it again, back-to-back? Does he still have that kind of moxie?
I would never go against that guy right now. The mojo that he's got going on and the belief that he has in himself. And you see the physical shape that guy's in? Man, what a horse is he put together. I mean, I think that's a large part of what has made him so good in this resurgence once he got to the Chicago Cubs is his physical fitness.
All right.
And that's going to be a big deal.
Working out the remote Comcast last night, it was a big night for sports. Sunday Night Football in America, Des Bryant, living up to the hype, delivers. Dak Prescott, 23 years of age, didn't have a great second and third quarter, but he had a wonderful fourth quarter. They push it into overtime. He throws a 5-yard touchdown pass to Jace Witten. They win it in overtime. I like this kid a whole lot. And if I'm Tony Romo, give me the clipboard, let my back heal, give me my paycheck, and then Jerry Jones and I can ride off in the sunset together after winning the Super Bowl. I think this is a win-win all the way around.
It's interesting, though. It's some of the comments today coming out of Jerry Jones's camp are that when Romo is better, he's going to tell the head coach that now the burden is on you, but I like Romo. It almost sounds like they want Romo back into that starting lineup. It doesn't make any sense. You're 7-1 for goodness sake. How do you get off that horse? I know you don't lose your starting job to injury. Baloney. You lose your starting job when you're losing it to a guy like Dak Prescott.
Tell me about this kid, Dak Prescott. I don't know that much about him.
Mississippi State came out of that conference down there with a situation where he was really strong and had some major upsets. I believe they knocked off Auburn last year. Really a strong game against Alabama where they could have won a game. He really showed his presence strongly, had a real nice offseason where he had the combine, the pro day, and those types of things where he elevated himself, but really only elevated himself to a 4th-round draft pick. But he is somewhat of a prototypical NFL drop-back quarterback. Big stud. He can take a hit, move a little bit in the pocket, but he's not a runner, so to speak. He's more of a prototypical guy, stay in the pocket, and he'll get the ball down the field, which is what the Dallas Cowboys love.
All right, I have to bring it up again because I do have a whole lot of respect for Tom Donahoe. I like this Carson Wentz, and I know it's Philly and it's not Big Ben, not the Steelers, but I like what I'm seeing in them. And this kid's he's just got the belief that I'm going to be in this league for a while, and I think he is.
Yeah, there were a couple of plays last night that really exemplified why he is or was a #1 draft pick, where he was looking left on the play. All of a sudden, they talked about he snapped his head back around to the right and fires a bullet to a ball. A real small, narrow window, able to fit that thing in. This is a guy, now everybody's believing in him. And Pennsylvania is, he's kind of taken over. The state is tipping a little bit.
All right, listen, Minnesota and Chicago at Soldier Field, Monday Night Football, underway as we speak on ESPN. Earlier today, I was doing a little bit of a retro thing, talking about some of my former Chicago Bears that I love, like Ditka and Butkus and Gale Sayers, Minnesota, Alan Page and Franz Hart. But the one player that I wanted to mention, not really a throwback, but every time I think of Chicago, I think of Walter Payton. I just can't help but think about Walter Payton. And that truly is one of the saddest stories in the history of sports. And you think about Brian Piccolo years ago with Chicago. Ironic, the same team, but boy, I miss seeing Walter Payton smile.
Yeah, he was one of those guys. He did everything right. Why did he have to go so young? It was a difficult thing. I had a chance to recruit his son, who was a running back at the University of Miami, and just the family was just tremendous. He was a great kid, really a good person, and he's done a lot of things with the foundation now to try to keep that name alive. With the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, there's probably not a better symbol for the NFL to have people want to be as a Walter Payton man.
All right, let's move on now. M&T Bank Stadium Sunday, Steelers back. Ben could be back, and it's Joe Flacco who is back, and he's thrown for 1,837 yards and 5 touchdowns. Ben, even though he's been out, 16 touchdowns on the year, 1,685 yards. Le'Veon Bell's rushed for 344 yards. Terrence West, 424 yards. But this is what the matchup that I'm really looking forward to. They won't be competing against each other. I think Mike Wallace is going to want to just kind of remind the Steelers a little bit about what he used to do. 490 yards, 3 touchdowns on the year. And Antonio Brown's just been, grade A, as Antonio Brown, 592 yards and 5 touchdowns. What about Mike Wallace, the stage where he is in his career? Is he still a high-profile wide receiver?
No. I'm sorry to say. I mean, it's a short answer, but no. And I don't think he ever lived up to the hype when he left here and went to Miami in the first place. He just was never really able to catch on. Kind of a one-trick pony. He's a home run hitter, but that's all he does. Poor route runner, guy who, he'll get behind and blow the top off of the defense. But in the NFL, everybody's so fast that you can't be that one-type guy.
Jarvis Jones, where is he on your report card?
Jarvis Jones would be a guy I would, if I were the Steelers, think long and hard about maybe doing a deal with. I mean, he has not been the productive #1 draft pick type guy, but he likes it in Pittsburgh. and he's a guy who has made some plays and can stand up. And that's a difficult position to play. If you can get to the quarterback at all and hurry the ball, you don't have to get a sack every time, but make some plays. I think the guy's a little bit better than the fans in Pittsburgh make him out to be.
Well, one guy who can get to the quarterback, 3 sacks, Cam Hayward, we know that. Then on the other side of the football, C.J. Mosley, who's a linebacker, as is a guy that just never goes away, Terrell Suggs. Is he still the motor of that defense?
Suggs?
Yeah.
I guess he is, yeah. I mean, I guess Mosley's going to try to take that over, kid out of Georgia. Really good football player, but Suggs is where they start and end. If he can have a big day and give fits to Villanueva and the Steelers' offensive line, then things can go crazy.
All right, your alma mater, Pitt back in action at Hard Rock Stadium, South Beach, Miami, coming up this weekend, 12:30. You can hear it at 93.7 The Fan. Panthers 5-3, Miami 4-4. It's Peterman against Brad Kayak, the quarterback of Miami, thrown for 1,984 yards, 13 touchdowns. Peterman has had a really solid year, 12 touchdowns, 1,519. You got Mark Walton running the football for Miami, of course James Conner for Pitt. Tell me a little bit about Miami going into this game. Are they beatable, and is this a must-win to think bowl for the Pitt Panthers?
Yeah, I was sure hoping that they would have beaten Notre Dame last week so that they were on a high and maybe were looking past Pitt a little bit. Coming off of that, now they're going to be mean as a bowl of hornets coming into that stadium. But, you know, Kai is a guy, he's got an NFL arm. People like him as a little bit down-the-road type quarterback. He's not a Jim Kelly, he's not a Testaverde, but he is, you know, in that line of Miami quarterbacks that people start to look at and say, hey, this kid can be pretty good. So you got to watch for him. Pitt's always going to be in a shootout. I mean, Pitt's got to score 38, 39 points in order to compete, which they will, and they'll put it up, and it'll come down to, you know, who's going to get the ball last kind of thing.
Avonte Maddox, what do you think?
I feel for the kid. He's a great kid. Very, very nice kid. Both of their senior corners are great people. You know, kids that you'd be happy to bring home. But they just struggle so badly. They're too small. I think the torch is being passed now to DeMar Hamlin. They burned his red shirt, so he might as well use him. And Dane Jackson, the Quaker Valley kid, I think you're going to see a lot more action of the 2 freshmen on the corners now, and just let those guys play.
All right, now let's move on to the Pens, who are back in action on Wednesday night in Anaheim. Marc-Andre Fleury, quietly 6 wins. Malcolm's got 5 goals. Phil Kessel, 6 assists, always playing good out in front of the net. Matt Cullen continues to play strong, and we know what Sidney Crosby has done. Your assessment of the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Well, like every game, and it's interesting, the Penguins are in first place in their division. They've got 6 wins, 2 losses, and an overtime tie. They've been outscored by their opponents. They've got 26 goals. Their opponents have 29. I don't know how you figure that one out. You know, mathematics would be what it is, but the Penguins are doing what they need to do. A really impressive game on Saturday night, getting down 2 goals, and they just look like they stepped on the gas pedal. Kind of like that Rory Cadillac that you're driving, Rob, is they just stepped on the gas pedal and boom, just shot right past the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yes, relax in a Rory Cadillac. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night from the Brighton Hot Dog Shop. He'll be back, as will Dave Pasquale, along with Ted Arnaud, Bob Dvorak, Bruce Tanner, Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show at 11.